Putin hides his work and meetings using multiple identical offices across Russia. 3 almost identical offices were built for him in different residences. This is meant to hide his actual location. Investigators from Radio Free Europe and Current Time found proof. Copies of his Moscow office in Novogorevo exist in the Bocharov-Bucheri residence in Sochi and the Valdai residence in Novgorod. The dictator holds meetings and briefings in these offices, but the Kremlin doesn't say they're different places. All offices are officially shown as the Novogorevo. The evidence that there are actually 3 offices: the door handle, a decorative wall line, and a paper folder. The story of these offices and Putin's movements between them show how his approach to personal security has changed. Over the years, he has moved more of the state's management into his own residences. Putin's original office was set up at his Novogorevo residence in 2015. But just a year later, secret copies of the room were built, investigators found. Photos and videos from the Valdai office appear from 2018 and from the Sochi office from 2020. They also found that since January 2024, the Russian dictator stopped using the Sochi office due to the drone threats. And from the early 2025, he stopped using the Novogorevo office. But since mid-September 2025, Putin has started returning to this residence occasionally. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio condemned drone incursion into Eastern European airspace. He stressed that Moscow is behind these provocations. Speaking to reporters after the G7 summit in Canada, the American diplomat warned that such actions could trigger something bigger.
Yeah, we're not in favor of them. I mean, we don't like them, but we have a strong commitment to NATO and to defend our partners if they ever come under attack. We think those provocations are coming from Russia. We think that they're counterproductive and obviously create a high level of tension that could spark something broader, which would be bad news for them and bad news for everybody, really.
Rubio also said the US is not currently negotiating with Russia to extend the nuclear arms control treaty. For now, there are only talks about possible talk with the Russians. He added there is no news on this at the moment. Meanwhile, Belgium has called in allied forces to deal with unidentified drones. French, German, and British drone defense teams arrived after multiple sightings over Belgian territory. Suspicious drones have been seen near airports, military bases, and nuclear plants. Authorities say the incidents show signs of Russian involvement. Moscow denies the accusation. The current Frontline could serve as a basis for negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. G7 foreign ministers agreed on this, according to a statement from their meeting. Meeting participants reaffirmed unwavering support for Ukraine in defending its territory from Russian aggression. The statement stressed that the international borders cannot be changed by force. An immediate ceasefire is essential to stabilize the situation.
We reaffirmed our unwavering support for Ukraine in defending its territorial integrity and right to exist, and its freedom, sovereignty, and independence. We reiterated that an immediate ceasefire is urgently needed. We agreed that the current line of contact should be the starting point of negotiations. We remain committed to the principle that international borders must not be changed by force. We are increasing the economic costs to Russia and exploring measures against countries and entities that are helping finance Russia's war efforts.
G7 foreign ministers confirmed they are ready to step up economic pressure on Russia. They will also target countries and companies that help fund Russian military actions. This statement condemns military support from Iran and North Korea, as well as Chinese dual-use components used in Russian weapons. G7 discussed the coordinated use of frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine. They also stressed the importance of protecting Ukraine's energy infrastructure after recent attacks, crucial for the economy and power supply. The meeting took place on November 11th, 12th, 2025 in the Niagara region, Ontario, Canada. Participants included Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK and the US, along with the EU High Representative. Brazil, India, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, South Korea, South Africa and Ukraine also joined discussions. Key topics included maritime security, strategic resources, economic resilience and energy security. The United States has nearly reached the limit on US sanctions against Russia. Washington is now focused on enforcing existing restrictions. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio made the comments after that G7 foreign ministers meeting in Canada. Rubio said the US has already imposed sanctions on major Russian oil companies. He added that the future steps will focus mainly on enforcing existing sanctions rather than introducing new ones.
A lot left to sanction from our part. I mean, we hit their major oil companies, which is what everybody's been asking for. Obviously, those have to be implemented, and it'll take some time to begin to feel it. But, I mean, I don't know what more there is to do. I mean, we're running out of things to sanction in that regard. Well, Shadow Fleet is an enforcement mechanism, and obviously sanctions have to be enforced. So, we don't put sanctions and then not enforce them.
Rubio also highlighted efforts to combat Russia's Shadow Fleet, which helps Moscow bypass oil restrictions. He urged European partners to get more involved. Commenting on Russia's action, he said the Kremlin has made clear what it wants: to take the rest of Donetsk, which is unacceptable for Ukraine. He added that the Russian missile strikes target energy network and aim to demoralize population. The US is in a constant talks with Kyiv to support its energy system, including equipment and defensive measures. Rubio acknowledged, however, that rapid destruction of equipment after installation remains a problem. Kenya has officially confirmed that its citizens are fighting for Russia in the war against Ukraine. More than 200 Kenyans have joined the Russian military so far. The country's foreign ministry made the announcement, as reported by Reuters. Kenya's foreign ministry says recruitment agencies continue to actively operate in Kenya and Russia, trying to enlist more Kenyans for the war. The recruitment has expanded to include other African citizens as well. Some were misled about the nature of their work. They were promised large sums to cover visas, travel, and accommodation. The ministry also reported that some recruits have been injured. In September, a security raid near Nairobi rescued 21 Kenyans who were being sent to fight. Authorities say they were promised non-combat roles like assembling drones, handling chemicals, and painting. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave your comments below.